trials where innocent Africans have been convicted of crimes they did not commit.
An ex-convict from Ardmore. His body...
If convicted, it has to face his life imprisonment.
The two of them would make distinguished convicts.
He hasn't even been convicted of any paramilitary offenses.
Mr. Sampson, with the
I wasn't convicted of a crime.
I'm sure I got an ID on your jumper. An escaped convict.
I'm not quitting until Martinez is free and you're...
If I don't get my convicts back, the prison will be out of control.
Not convict.
And transcripts of trials where innocent Africans have been convicted of crimes they did not commit and were then burnt alive. There are...
Wanted in connection with the brutal slaying of Rodney Wiggins, an ex-convict from Ardmore. His body was discovered in an abandoned theater not far from where Cole...
The judge for his ruling in a case against his brother. If convicted, it has to face his life imprisonment.
What do you plan to do?
And myself to jail. The two of them would make distinguished convicts.
Perhaps.
But killing me won't...
Back to that.
My cousin's on that list. He hasn't even been convicted of any paramilitary offenses.
These people are suspects in many things, including...
Mr. Sampson, with the jury having convicted you in count 1 of first-degree murder...
Why you get to walk around free and I don't?
I wasn't convicted of a crime.
Oh, you never did anything bad. Never did anything...
Listen up.
Go.
I'm sure I got an ID on your jumper. An escaped convict.
Nick Cassidy. Jesus Martinez.
Now, I'm not quitting until Martinez is free and you're convicted of murder. And when that needle goes in...
Out of you. If I don't get my convicts back, the prison will be out of control. You know what a riot and a...
You must not convict.
Lead to the famous commission trial, which convicted bosses in each of New York's 5 families. Danny Green's murder directly led to the indictment.
That's why. To prove it happens. To have absolute proof that the system convicts innocents.
Get out of here.
No. That's how...
I brokered a trade with the Chinese government, using Hadley in exchange for a U.S. diplomat convicted of espionage.
I feel that I've been convicted of violating an unjust law. I will continue.
From a Sergeant Patton at the American Embassy, and it says here that you were once convicted for possession of a narcotic.
No, it wasn't a textbook confession, all right? But goddammit, it was enough to convict and close the case. This is a case that hangs together by the thinnest of threads.
Because you have been convicted of federal racketeering and murder charges and aim to make a deal to spare your life.
Danny! What? Understand that they have a case that a jury will convict on. I can't do any more for you.
And did you know, from the Justice Department's own research, at least 343 innocent people have been convicted of capital crimes. 25 of them have been executed.
So the gun and the girl? I couldn't convict him of spitting on the sidewalk. Now, the suspect...
To evade federal income tax. What's the maximum Capone could get? If convicted on all counts, Mr. Capone could have up to 28...
Hey! Come on, free man. Come up a convict. You don't end up like me, do you?
How long are you in for?
The big one?
Convicted. Yes, but he did nothing wrong. He cares nothing for himself. Everything he...
Edward. Essex will be convicted and executed.
On the edge of life. The madmen, orphans, ex-convicts, outcasts, like myself.
The worst convicts, those deep down in solitary confinement, and the most ordinary file clerks.
Well, I get it anyway. Don't you see? When you're convicted, all Richmond's money goes to his next of kin.
Put him in a garbage bag and threw him in the bayou. The pictures alone convicted her. But Boone kept saying, if you can stand her.
All you people. What people?
Convicts. You're all tattooed. A tiger head. What does it do?
I'll admit that when I found out that my daughter Donna was going to be living with a convicted felon, that I was, rather uncomfortable.
It's the duty of counsel to defend his client, not to convict her even in his own mind.
He's just out of our line of sight.
Even if you do find him, that's not enough evidence to convict the man without a confession.
If we find him, prosecution will be irrelevant. He'll be a marked man.
If this place is indicative of the state of correctional institutions in this country, they might as well let all the convicts out. It's far worse on the inside.
Stealing from...
We only got into this country because the fucking INS decided it's not worth the effort to screen for convicted felons.
Dunsey McAdam, Jarrett. You have been convicted by 12 good persons and true of the crime of first-degree making...
To me. He gave me a job when nobody else would. And he knows about courts, things like that. He said they'd convict me and offered to get rid of...
Michael Sullivan, an ex-convict and one of the leaders of the break, describes that fateful day.
I told all he...
I wouldn't hike with him even if he wasn't, because you can't trust a convict. And he's dumb. And boring, actually.
He never profited from his alleged death. And because we convicted someone else of the murder we tried to pin on him, we had to let him go. He was...
The chance. Let's have it. Margot was convicted because nobody believed her story. The prosecution made out she was telling one lie after another.
Put the right gun back. We can't put the fucking right gun back. Without that gun, they're not going to convict Joe. Without that, they're going to put Clyde back on the street. I don't give a fuck about...
I wish we wore uniforms with a collar and tie. This makes you feel like a convict. Well, what do you think you are?
Years. Does that sound right?
I'd say that if they try you and convict you, you won't get more than a year and a day. Now, that's state time, prison. But they...
I'm very much afraid you'll be arrested.
But I've done nothing. Why should I be arrested? I mean, this is England. You don't get arrested or convicted for something you haven't done. We try not to make a habit of it.
So it doesn't matter. It's a terrible thing that they're going through, but they never would have been convicted because they couldn't be convicted because they didn't do
things. Some politicians say I'd fight him with everything I had. Only I wouldn't show him in a convict suit with stripes so his children could see the picture in the paper or his mother.
You're a cheap crook. Stabbed him a billion times.
No, not Aaron. To convict someone of a capital crime, the state must prove intent. Roy had intent, Aaron didn't.
Yeah, but the only way to prove that...
I'm thinking about running over the press with the car. Self-defense. You think a jury would convict?
Do what you have to do.
You know, I'm taking that as permission.
I can't change that.
Fuck the nest, Joe. Escaped convict Arthur Lustig was recaptured earlier this evening by Sarasota police. This concludes...
I'm not giving up the case. You think I'm going to take the word of a jury that convicted a man of murder purely on his record? I'm not that dumb. Goodbye.
Oh.
Ferry.
Now my esophagus is starting to move.
Charles Ferry?
Hi!
The escaped convict?
Skylar, ex-convict. He has a car.
It's working and it's hot.
I don't understand you.
Look, I'm a convict. I live here and I work and eat and sleep in these stinking clothes.
Oh, man. I'm an escaped convict who was plagued by mosquitoes.
Yeah, very funny. I really love you,